F1 bros, speedrunners, noobs, and leets. Welcome once again to the Idiot Gamer Podcast.
Welcome, lads, back for episode 21 of the Idiot Game Podcast. It has been a while.
That's your fault.
It's totally my fault.
Because you built this new studio for us.
Yeah, if you can call it a studio. We're in my new room, spare room. I've already found a problem.
Is the problem that you buried Andy in the old studio?
Yeah, we've got no idea where Andy is.
No, I think...
In fact, I think he's recording a rival podcast this very evening.
Oh,
which
come
is,
on.
Yeah, it is disgraceful, John.
Unbelievable.
We can't have that.
Well-
so if you ever see a podcast called Tin of Ginger Biscuits,
The Tin of
do
Ginger
not
Biscuits.
listen to it. And 1 star on Apple Music
Yeah,
or whatever
you
it is.
absolutely should listen to it. It's very funny.
It is
Those are the dulcet tones of Mr. Jonathan Scott joining us on the pod. It's a
Hello.
pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
Hello,
right.
John.
First time.
First time on the
First
Idiot Gamer
time,
pod.
yeah.
No, I believe on the first one, John appeared at the door and abused me for my Greencast.
When we were doing the really, really long Ultimate Consoles
It was
episode.
It was a bit less. It was a bit more amateur.
It was
shall we say.
2 hours 45 minutes. It was done in my living room. We've in my kitchen. We've come a long way, fellas. And that, of course, is Matt Angel
Hello.
on the other side of the table. So this is the least planned podcast in the history of Idiot Gamer Podcast because I just felt like we haven't done one for ages, and it's the first time that the setup has actually been here and ready to be used, which is amazing. But I don't know what we're going to talk about. Which is an issue, I suppose.
I've got a few things. we can talk about. It's fine.
We'll find some stuff to talk about. So the first issue I've got, squeaky chair. So we got to deal with that one.
I like that. We should get its own mic because that's probably the most sense that anyone's made.
You
for
set
a
up
long
a Twitter
time.
account for the squeaky chair.
Yeah.
The other thing is that those 3 LED lights, all 3 of them are pointed directly in my face.
I love
It's like being on stage.
It's horrible.
I was thinking more like we got him in a gulag and we're trying to make him speak.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't like that at all.
Well, when
there we go. I pressed record before I thought about it.
It's fine. Well, do you want me to go turn them off? We can be a little bit.
We could
amateur-y.
be in the. Can we be in the dark? That
Yeah.
would actually be better.
I'm fine,
Do you
I'm
want to
Okay.
pop and switch them
But
off?
bear in mind, it is going to feel a bit like mood lighting.
Yeah, no, that's fine. John's going to pop them off there. While
on,
he's
John.
doing that, I'm going to have a little drink of drink.
You know, other podcasts would
Oh,
have let this fade.
it's really dark.
That's
The
fine.
lights are off.
I can't see you glaring at me for my opinions. Now,
It's
so
really
fine.
dark. John's twisting the bulbs. John, you're a ledge, mate.
Oh, he's going to burn himself.
That is top.
This is good.
Oh, that's so much better.
I was going to say that was going to be the first Idiot Gamer podcast injury, but there was that time you fell off your bike. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So-
that all happens.
Yeah.
Only slightly singed my fingers. So it's
Well
not,
done.
It's not too
So
bad.
the day today, we'll start with what we've been playing because just about 10 minutes ago we finished our very first game of.
Lords of Waterdeep.
It was excellent.
Yeah,
Very good.
So tell us a bit about that. It's a D&D made tabletop game.
It's what's termed a modern classic. It's the game that brought worker placement. So worker placement is where you get a lot of workers and you can just use one action per turn.
Yeah.
And you can block other people out of actions. It's the most probably it's the most elegant version of these because there are a lot of other ones out there, but they always have a little bit of complexity to them or they don't work as
Yeah.
well. This one is very simple, but it's also very, very nice.
I mean, we came to this fresh, and I found after basically one turn, I understood the game, which is not always the case with these.
No,
things, you know.
absolutely. I mean, various times you play a game like that, and you get to the end of the game without still completely
really
understanding.
knowing why you've done it. I mean, the first 2 times we played Eclipse, we made a lot of mistakes. I mean, at one point, I made a mistake on Eclipse that I realised I hadn't been moving my fucking counter every turn for the whole game.
What I'd point out is that your first mistake was playing Eclipse because it is one of the dullest things I've ever done.
I enjoyed it once we kind of understood what we were doing. I'm sure there are better versions of that type of thing out there. I mean, this was
Yes
not
and
dissimilar actually to Eclipse, really, because it works in the same way as that you need to get resources to achieve tasks, and you put your fellas out and you do that thing. But I like those games that have a certain level of depth that allows you to sort of pick a lane and then choose which way you're going to make
indeed.
your money. Because we all kind of did things slightly differently this time. But I think that was the thing that I liked about Eclipse, is that you could do it completely differently. Like you could all be doing totally different actions to try and get your points.
So there's another one that we need to play at some point called
Yeah.
Caverna, which is a version of Agricola. So Agricola is a sort of worker placement game where you're doing farming and stuff. So you can either like raise animals or you can plant.
Literal
things.
farming.
Yeah.
Nice.
Caverna simplified it and made it slightly better. But it's just a lovely game because you can just sit there for an evening and everyone can go a different route, or you can compete routes with other people. It's really, really nice.
Well, I love Lords of Waterdeep very much. In fact, to be fair, most games that you've brought to us, Matt, tabletop games, I have enjoyed.
I own a lot of terrible games. I rarely bring terrible games for other people to play. That's the thing.
And another shout out to Matt here, while we're talking board games. He arrived today with a brand new, fresh, sealed copy of Fury of Dracula for me, which is not an easy to get hold of game.
I did buy it many, many months ago because I trashed your copy of it.
Well, we had one rather drunken game of Fury of Dracula in my garden
I
a year or so
got
ago.
very excited when I thought I knew where you were and spilt my beer all over the board.
You didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I nailed that game. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
The thing I love about Fury of Dracula, while we're talking about board games, is the way that game is designed is so clever that the game is always won at the pivotal point where either side can win.
Yeah.
So there's one turn where the chasers are thinking, we fucking got him here, and that's always the turn that Dracula manages to escape.
Yeah.
It's really, the balance is perfect.
I think we cornered you in Italy at one point, and then you just flew away, and we were like, "Well, we've got no idea where you are now."
Go on, John.
So I don't think I've played this game, or maybe I have. I
Fury
can't
of Dracula.
remember.
You were literally playing that
You
game
did
when
play
I
that
trashed
game
his
with us.
copy.
There you go. There you go. I was there. Yeah, but it reminds me of a game that I played when I was a kid called, I think it was called Mr. X or something like that.
There's different
Scotland
versions.
Yard.
Scotland Yard.
Yeah.
Scotland Yard.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
That's
love
the one
those
I was
hidden
thinking
games
of, yeah.
because when you play at the hidden guy, it's a totally different game to when you play as a chaser, and I think there's a certain like satisfaction of people not knowing where you are.
Yeah.
So when you get to play as a hidden character, it is really good.
I prefer being the person who's chasing because I get really, really nervous.
Yeah, you can get quite nervous being Dracula in
And
that game.
I'm not that good. I haven't got a good poker face. So
Yeah.
if someone's getting close, I will start sweating. I will start.
Yeah, that's the challenge, and that's why that game is great, because you're one person against three, and there's a lot to do on the board and a lot to understand. And so, as Dracula, you do feel a bit of pressure because you're like, did I do the thing? Because you can't get what I mean to ask. Like in a regular game, you'd ask somebody or say, but you can't say anything because as soon as you say, "Should I have placed the thing?" They go, "He's there.
Yeah.
He's definitely right there."
Yes, if I was. In
Yeah, if I
Italy-
were to be. I do love that. But I'm excited because I've just moved to a new house.
Yeah.
So we've got the new podcast set, which I think you'll agree is better. There's more space. We could even fit a fourth man now.
I managed to get the chair working, which
Well
I
done.
realised it's
Very
the same
good.
chair as before.
It is
but
the same
I
chair,
haven't
yeah.
tried to sit upside down on it yet. So.
So we've got the chairs working. It's a little bit, the sound's probably a little bit better, but I can do stuff in here, John. Look at my setup. It's like a fucking Starship Enterprise.
It's
over
fancy.
here.
Lots of buttons.
It is good. I've got loads of buttons. So that's good. But also, I'm going to have a new kitchen with a table so we can
lovely.
do more tabletop gaming.
I have many games and no space to play
There
them,
we
so
go.
you've got the space. So
And it's
good.
more content for the pod.
It really is.
Because none of us have been playing any new videos. Except maybe we have.
I've been playing
Matt,
a lot. Yeah.
you have been playing a ridiculous amount of video games.
I have.
Including stuff I've never heard of.
Such as?
Tell me about the one that you sent me the other day. TF.
Oh, TFT.
TFT.
So there's a bit of an addiction going on with myself, but also with the wider gaming community at the moment, which is in auto chess. And now I'm saying auto chess. Auto chess was actually the original game that did this. So it was a Dota mod.
Okay.
In the same way that Dota was originally a mod of Warcraft. But effectively, you get units and they'll have a different species almost, or clan, and they'll also have a different type. So you might get, for example, let's say a demon assassin.
Right.
If you get multiple demons, you get a special ability. So if you've got three
How is this
demons on the board-
chess?
It's not really. It's basically on. Well, it was done like that because it was on a chessboard, effectively.
Oh,
but there's all
okay,
these
okay.
different versions coming out now. There's a League of Legends one, which is TFT, which is the best one that's been done by a mile so far.
Right.
I think Dota obviously had it, and it's now broken away. It's got a mobile version, all this sort of stuff, and all of the games are coming out with their own auto chess.
So it's just a turn-based thing.
So what you do is you all you effectively there's 8 other players. And every round you will fight one of these players based on what they've got and what you've got. And
Okay.
the fighting is automated. You just put the units out there, and it's really difficult to explain. But it's basically all of the Hearthstone streamers have moved over to different versions of auto chess. Like Hearthstone is dying because of this in terms of it. Not all of them.
So it
obviously.
must have a similar feel, like Gaming League to Hearthstone.
It feels to me more like a set collection game, or it feels more like a board game. It's more like Dominion or something like that.
Yeah.
Deck builder, you're making your army. You've only got a set number of units. It's really, really fun.
Nice.
And I really like it. It's never going to be my favourite game, but it's a good way to pass the time.
Have you stopped playing Hearthstone then?
I haven't played Hearthstone since I said I wouldn't play
Yeah?
Hearthstone last time. I was putting a lot of money into that. I didn't feel good about that. In
Yeah.
terms of, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, but it was very much pay to win at certain.
Yes,
in terms of, if you
very
wanted
good.
the best cards, you had to spend a lot of money to hopefully get them, or to craft them. And I've started to feel more and more uncomfortable with paying, regardless of whether it's free to play or anything like that.
Yeah.
Paying for effectively content that makes the game fun.
Yeah.
I'm still not entirely comfortable with things like skins and things like that, but I'm even less comfortable with when it's content for the game, unless it's
Yes.
DLC. I've ranted about DLC before, but I don't actually mind DLC if it's adding a lot of additional content. But what it shouldn't be doing is adding content that should be in the game already.
Yeah. So in the time that we've been away, I guess the whole video game world has become worse. In the 2 months or something that we have done a podcast for, everything's gone to shit.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant place to be. Well, it is, because there are pleasant games out there. I can think of several like very, very good ones, but there's a lot of controversy, some of which is like legitimate.
Yeah.
Other ones is very much a follow the leader sort of mechanic, where someone gets annoyed about something, so everyone thinks they should be annoyed about something.
Yes.
And-
Talking of which, before we get on to him, because we're basically about to talk about Randy Pitchford.
Oh, are we?
Before
I wasn't. I was going to talk about Mordhau, but
before we talk about Randy Pitchford and his wonderful ways, let's talk about some of the good stuff that he did, which was bring us Borderlands.
yes.
And Borderlands 2, and the fact that we've all been playing Borderlands 2 since it came out for free on PlayStation
Yes.
Plus in June. And a lovely old time.
Are you having a lovely time? Because when you first played it, you weren't sure.
No, there was a bunch of shit that I really didn't like about it to begin with, but part of that was the fact that it is... How old is it, John?
2012. I think
Yeah,
it
so
first
it's
came
a
out.
fairly old game.
Yeah.
And so I think coming to it late, it feels old, right? So I had that issue with it to begin with. There were a few UI things I really didn't like. But once I understood the loop a little bit better and worked out what was going on, I was having a very good time. And the one thing that they nailed, considering it's a game from 7 years ago, was the drop-in, drop-out multiplayer was amazing.
Yeah.
And so we were playing. Sometimes I play with you, Mel. Sometimes I play with John. Sometimes I play with Scruff. And we were just dropping into each other's games willy-nilly with no trouble whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And the game's really doing a good job of balancing it up and helping like the lower ranked players, really giving them a bit of a boost when they play with higher level players
You
and
can't
getting
be
them to rank
too
up
far
quickly.
away, though. You can't work
No,
with,
you can't be like
a sort of
level
2
4
players
and
at
level
once or
25
something,
or
but-
whatever, but
Yeah, it's
good.
Yeah, I loved it when I first played it. I haven't played much of 2 since the re-release, but I loved it when it first came out, and I'm still very excited for 3. I think it'll be a great experience.
And I think that's one really good thing that Sony have done and Gearbox with making that game free in June of this year is they've got everybody super excited for Borderlands 3.
Of course, yeah.
Because now everyone, like we've all been playing it and we've all got it front of mind and we're thinking, shit, this would be great fun for all of us to play together from level 1.
Indeed.
Will be really, really good.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The one thing
When's it out? September the something?
11th?
Yeah, September. The one thing you introduced to me, John, with Borderlands, which did actually change the game, and it's a bit dodge, is the shift keys.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the shift keys.
So, again, I don't know that much about it. Matt will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these were essentially codes that were released over the years that Borderlands 2 has existed.
Yeah.
And they were basically like promotional codes that allow you to go to a particular loot chest.
Yep.
And you get a particularly, well, it's random, of course, but you could potentially get a very good weapon.
Indeed.
Or shield or whatever.
Yeah.
But coming to this game 7 years after the release,
Yeah.
there's a shitload of shift codes.
Oh, yeah.
So you can basically spend 10 minutes on a website
Yeah.
and get 100 shift
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah.
But it's not, they weren't ever like pay to win in terms of they were releasing these shift codes on Twitter.
Yeah,
like,
well, it's a
routinely.
single player game at the end of the day, right?
But
So
you get the feeling that if it was Bungie, for example, doing it, it would have been like, oh, buy 10 shift keys
Yes,
for
sure.
like $10 or something.
But the stuff that came out of the loot crate for the shift key was way better than anything I ever picked up anywhere else in the game.
massively.
It was a bit, for me anyway, it was a bit hit and miss. I mean, it's always leveled to your character. So
Yeah.
if you're level 5 and you open the crates within 2 or 3 levels, those weapons are probably
It's the
not,
nature of the RPG,
you know,
I suppose, isn't it?
not as good as anything else that you might pick up. So
They're very good at rewarding returning players as well. When I bought because I actually bought the sort of 1 and 2 or the new pack that came out, and it basically said because it told that I'd played it before, it just gave me a load of like the buffs you can buff your character with.
Yeah.
It just went, have 120 of these.
That's pretty cool.
And it's
nice.
for a company where their CEO is a massive douche.
They made some good games.
They've made some good games, but also some good approaches to
Yes.
games. as
So
well.
Randy Pitchford likes to reward himself, obviously,
Allegedly.
and managed
Still
to
subject to,
and
criminal investigation.
managed to shift himself several $1 million out of the Gearbox account, allegedly.
Yeah.
And that was just one of his many transgressions
Well,
over the last
we've
few
discussed
years.
his hard drive turning up
We
in
did talk
medieval
about
times.
the USB stick. Yeah.
We
it's
did.
entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not pornography. It's just entertainment.
It was a lady
I mean,
doing
it's
magic.
it's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's almost like magic, John.
But there were other things, like he got into a fight with the original Claptrap voice actor,
who was not a voice actor, who was a member of staff
Yeah.
doing it for free,
and
basically.
turned out
Oh, seriously, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's amazing.
Turns out he wanted paying for it. They've also got some voice actors. Well, one particular voice actor on the new game who, whilst nothing has been proven, has been accused of sexual misconduct, shall we say?
It sounds like the whole place is run like an absolute fucking shit
It
show,
is,
to be
but
fair.
all roads lead back to Randy Pitchford.
Yes. So this guy, right, the guy who voiced the original Claptrap, I'm dancing. I mean, to be fair, it's not
You've
amazing.
got the
It's
job.
not amazing, is
Can
it?
you do it for free?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I heard that 3, obviously the Claptrap
Was a
actor
different
is,
fella.
yeah, it's a different
Yeah.
guy.
Sounds
but I
different.
Well,
didn't realise.
on the
Well, apparently
set-
he does a very good Claptrap impression.
It's me.
It is.
I've got that
cool.
gig, yeah.
That's why you can afford this lovely new gaff.
Yeah.
Well, no, he can't because they don't pay
Yeah,
him
exactly.
voice actors.
So this guy, right, and it sounds on the surface like a fairly nice thing, because what they did was, if they were doing small bits of voice acting, they would ask members of staff to do them, because it's like fun. The members of staff get to be in the game.
And
It's quite
it
nice, right?
includes the staff.
Yeah,
in the,
exactly.
Yeah,
and it's
okay,
quite cool because
fair
they get
enough.
their voice on the final product.
Yeah.
And they did that. And I think if you're a small company, you can imagine that would be quite a cool, fun thing to do for everybody.
Sure.
But as obviously the company got bigger, this became more of a thing. And then staff would realise that actually, for some roles, they're paying these guys shitloads of money to be voice actors, and so this fella, who had voiced Claptrap originally as part of his regular job with Gearbox, had subsequently left the company for a totally different reason, but was then asked to come back to voice Claptrap for Borderlands 3 for free.
What? I
But
mean, that's ridiculous.
He
Why
doesn't
would-
work for the company anymore. As well, he made that very point. He was like, well, I'm happy to do it, but I'd like to be paid, and I'd like to be paid a rate that's commensurate with the voice actor who's doing that job. seems like
Obviously.
a fair thing to
Randy
ask for.
Pitchford's defense on that was that he offered him a lot of money and the guy still wanted more.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of those versions true, but I know who I trust in that conversation
Yeah.
most.
Well, the
shall we
story
say.
didn't come out until the shit with Randy Pitchford came out. So it wasn't like this guy was running around looking for press. Somebody went to him and asked him about the situation. And that's what he said.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming he's not a professional voice actor.
No, he's
now,
a developer.
or,
Yeah.
or
okay.
he's a lead developer, I think.
And there were accusations of Randy Pitchford actually physically assaulting.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So basically, this story came out. He said his thing. Then Pitchford came back and said, "Oh, that's bollocks. We offered him loads of money." So then this guy was like, "If we're going to get into a shit slinging match, I'll sling some shit."
Yeah.
And then he said that in a hotel after some event somewhere, they just had a disagreement, and Pitchford basically fucking
Had him
grabbed
by
him
the
and
throat and
had him by
stuff,
the throat.
yeah.
And some other member of staff verified the story.
Yeah.
And it all started painting this picture. So you had the medieval times peeing situation. Then you had the claptrap thing, and then you had this story of physical assault verified, and then after that, there was it was a bit like the Me Too thing with old Weinstein, right? There was then just a wave of
Yeah.
people coming forward going,
Yeah.
"Yeah, Randy Pitchford is a dick."
But I think a lot of people have done that before, and he somehow survives this every single time, and
Yeah.
I don't know how, because I love Borderlands. I love Borderlands. I love Borderlands 2, and I love the pre-sequel, but the man is an absolute liability in terms of a CEO.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the problem, I suppose, from an ethical point of view, is that they're about to release a video game that everyone's excited about, and of course, at that point, everyone will fucking forget about all of this stuff and play Borderlands
Yeah.
3 and have a grand old
Because
time.
as soon as any dodgy stories come out, Pitchford will just throw a load of shift codes onto Twitter. That's what'll happen. And it's weird.
He's going to shift his way out of this one.
The number of times that it was him putting the shift codes out, it was astonishing. So,
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a bit of the old Pitchford.
yes.
And, he's not alone in the group of complete arseholes in video games at the moment.
Which way are we going to go with
I don't know.
this?
You tell me.
Well, I'll give you three names and you can decide what you want to go with.
Okay.
So we've got EA,
Yeah, oh, yeah. As a
we've
whole,
got
yeah.
G2A,
Oh, yeah.
and we have Mordhau.
Let's talk about EA for a bit, because they are sort of now so evil
Yeah.
that they're known more for being evil than they are for making video games.
They're one step away from owning a island shaped like a skull,
Yeah.
and having their own personal helicopter that fires nukes and stuff.
So I think that the British government was looking into the legality of randomised loot boxes based on what had happened in Belgium, and there was a committee taking place in London where some British politicians were talking to members of EA senior management about loot boxes, right? And this was the first time, because EA themselves calls them loot boxes. They call them loot boxes for Star Wars. They call them loot boxes for FIFA coin packs.
Which is weird because they don't have any loot in them.
No,
most
true.
of the time.
But that's become synonymous with the idea of randomised gambling mechanics, right?
Yeah,
Loot boxes.
absolutely.
So they're in this meeting, and then the politician guy says, "So could you explain to us a little bit about how your loot boxes work?" And this woman, who I guess was like senior VP of PR or whatever
Yeah.
for EA,
If she's senior VP
I
of,
know, it's crazy,
of
isn't it?
PR, then I'm sorry, but they need to get their interviewers sacked.
So she said, "Oh, I'll stop you there. We don't call them loot boxes." And the guy was actually pretty good because he goes, "Well, whatever you call them," which was great.
Yeah.
And she said, "We call them surprise mechanics."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So now they're trying to rebrand. So they have created a toxic thing, which they acknowledge is now toxic, and they're trying to rebrand. It's like, you don't get to fucking rebrand your shit thing.
But also, it's like, surprise, all your money's gone.
Yeah. What a surprise.
Surprise, you can't feed yourself this week.
Yeah, surprise mechanics. So when you go to FIFA and you try and buy a pack, and that pack has a 0.14 chance of giving you a player above 90 or whatever, that's a surprise mechanic,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah. There was the story out this past week, where a group of 4 children empties their parents' bank
Yeah.
account because they effectively watched the way that their parents had paid, like when they bought them a couple of packs.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Lionel Messi and effectively, cleared their entire bank account out. Now, the dad came out and said,
£650 in less
Yeah.
than a month, I think.
Yeah, and the dad held his hands up and said, "Look, I didn't put any restraints on this. You know, I didn't expect my kids to defraud me.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like, what sort of video game that you've spent like 40 quid on?
Yeah.
Are you then able to do this?" And he's got a massive point. Yes, normally I'm on the side of the, oh well, you know, the parents should be monitoring.
Yeah, they
their
need a
children's
certain
activity.
amount of responsibility, but
Like, for that to actually, granted, their kids are clearly like little fraudsters, but they were after Lionel Messi.
they didn't understand that he was
No.
spending real money,
No,
right? Because
not
these
at
kids,
all.
I think, were 10, right?
Yeah.
Or just under 10, so
Yeah.
they weren't old enough. They saw him do it and was like, oh, that's how he got that
Oh,
back.
he's got that password.
They didn't realise that there was money associated to it.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing that with FIFA especially, because I enjoy Ultimate Team, I like the game, but the problem is that the game is the loot boxes now.
Well, it's the same with
You know?
Hearthstone.
Yeah.
in terms of, in order to enjoy that game,
Yeah,
you need
totally.
to spend the money.
Because the balance is so wrong. Like, you can play the game for hours and earn a tiny amount that gets you one tiny loot box, and it's not enough. So the game has become buy loot boxes if you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to succeed, even with the offline games, right? Which is fucked up. So anyway, so
It's ridiculous.
yeah, it's really, really crazy. So I think I'm hoping, right, that because there's all kinds of ways they can improve Ultimate Team and make it a really good game that's fun for people to play. But that's the point, is that the fun part is completely irrelevant to EA now. The game for them is how much money they can withdraw from each individual person
Yeah,
that plays
absolutely.
their game. And that's why, like, Jim Sterling
Recurring-
came up with this thing and said fee to play.
Yeah.
So now you have a free to play game that is fee to pay. So you pay
Yeah.
once to buy it and then you pay again.
It would interest me to know how much EA actually earn from selling the game and how much they earn from loot boxes.
You talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to see if I can find it.
I'd be surprised if there's a stat that shows that, because they probably.
It will be a shit ton of cash.
Well, indeed, and I suspect that they earn more money from the loot boxes than
Yeah,
they do
massively.
actually selling the game.
They could get away with giving that away free,
Yeah,
without doubt, but they won't, because it's another revenue stream. It's going to get worse though, because, and we may get onto this again, we may not, but Google Stadia is going to be expecting you to put down a subscription charge so that you can stream FIFA. You will have to pay EA to play FIFA, and then pay microtransactions to get the things that you want in order to play FIFA.
mental.
Luckily, it looks like Google Stadia has become a massive laughing stock, and very few people are going to be interested in it. So,
So EA make about $1.2 billion a year on microtransactions. 650 million of that is Ultimate Team. Yeah, which is
and the remaining one's the bit where they get people to pay to not have players retire in Madden.
quite possibly. Yeah.
That is an extraordinary amount of money.
It's sickening,
It's
to
mad,
be honest,
isn't
isn't it? I mean,
And a lot of that will be from people who cannot afford it.
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm making a generalization there, but a lot of people who get hooked into this sort of stuff cannot afford to do it.
Yeah.
Because they will have that addictive personality that means that that is not their only addiction.
I don't really. It's frustrating that there are, people that don't seem to think that it's gambling, because it so obviously is.
What worried me the most is I think the British Parliament were getting a lot of kudos for the way they were dealing with EA. And then I think it was the MP in charge of digital. She came out and she's put the argument back quite significantly by saying that she doesn't actually think that it's a problem and it should be banned. And it's a shame, because although she's a Tory, she's one of the more liberal Tories who seems to be a little bit more about her. She's very pro-gay marriage, all this sort of stuff. But her approach to this has set that whole argument back and has made the steps that Parliament took look almost wasted.
The problem is people don't understand enough about it to make comment, to make sensible comment. But everyone wants to fucking comment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very weird time. But anyway, so I think we can all try and make a pact. Like, you've stopped doing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I've stopped doing Ultimate Team. John can stop his addiction to online poker, and we can all move on.
I also refuse to buy that amazing Zenyatta skin that is on.
It's
Overwatch.
great, but it's
great.
£8.50.
I'm not paying £8 for a skin. I'm not paying anything for a skin anymore.
I mean, that's a lot of money for a skin.
Yeah.
I'm not paying
I mean,
for any skins.
the thing is, especially with Overwatch, there is a certain part of me that thinks, well, I paid $29.99 for that game 3 years ago, and I've played it like several times a week, every week for 3 years.
Yeah, I'm on 850 hours.
Holy shit.
However,
That is
I stopped
impressive.
buying loot boxes a while ago because I started feeling that, yes, giving them £10 a month was worth it. But quite frankly, I don't feel comfortable with microtransactions anymore.
I'd be much happier with a SaaS model, right, whereby games like Ultimate Team or Overwatch no longer have like a FIFA 19, FIFA 18. It is just FIFA, Ultimate Team, and it's free. So I can go on the store, PlayStation, Switch, whatever, and I download FIFA Ultimate Team. And then each month I pay £8 or whatever it happens to be able to keep playing the game. And then the balance of the game is such that it drops me enough loot boxes to keep me interested. And the same with Overwatch. I'd be quite happy. And then the game gets updated, right, all the time to keep it fresh. Oh, gee, I'm spilling my beer.
You have just got beer all down yourself. You got so excited about free
it's-
Ultimate Team
Look,
packs.
It hasn't touched me.
It's your shaky hands from your loot box
Yeah, I know.
addiction.
And the same for Overwatch. Like, I'd be quite happy to pay a monthly subscription for Overwatch if it constantly gets updated, new content goes in, all that kind of stuff.
I'm not,
I'd be
because I
happy
currently
with that.
get that, but I don't see why they have to.
That's just Blizzard being really nice about things and releasing shitloads of content.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I can't imagine they're selling many loot boxes anymore because they're like the loot box drops are
Terrible.
95% duplicates,
Yeah,
right?
no.
So I can't imagine that many players
No, indeed.
are buying the loot boxes anymore.
It will be during their event period that they
Yeah.
see those, and I've stopped even buying them during that because I've
Yes,
got
me
enough
too.
skins and things. But yeah,
I think these guys need to look at new models basically to try and change things
But
up.
to say that it like Ultimate Team is not gambling is ridiculous because if you take that payment and collection out of the game,
Yeah.
there is no game.
That's exactly it. I don't mind the mechanic. The mechanic is absolutely fine. Have it rare. Have it to be rare to get drops. But give me loads of packs, you know, and have the packs be a decent reward for the game. The thing that showed it off was in Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, whichever one it was that when they took out the loot boxes because of, you know, major uproar, they had to rebalance the game.
Yeah.
Because the game wasn't giving people enough boxes to get them to ever fucking finish the thing. So it's like, so if I hadn't bought the loot boxes, I wouldn't have been able to finish the fucking game. Anyway,
I must
it just
admit,
proves that it's
I look at
imbalanced.
Ultimate Team and just think you take that gambling mechanic out of it, and it's not a game anymore. It's exactly the same as horse racing. Like, what is the point of horse racing? if
No,
you
I
take
don't
gambling
think so.
out?
I think it would work because, well, the game itself is fun anyway, playing the football games. And if you got loads of pack drops, you would be encouraged to play the different games, different styles of tournaments, different things, because they yield pack drops as a reward. So you would be like, if I play this tournament, I'm going to get 5 packs. Cool. And then I might get a really good drop. And if I get a drop, I could do this and that. But in order to do that, they'd have to do 2 things. One is they would have to remove microtransactions completely. And 2, they would have to remove the marketplace.
Yes.
Because the marketplace allows individuals to trade between each other.
Absurd.
At which point EA takes a cut of every transaction that goes on.
So
That's
the equivalent of when you claim your expenses if you got taxed on that money.
It's like, it's
That's
kind of like that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if you pulled a really amazing card, 100,000 point card, let's say 100,000 coin card, you go on the thing and you sell it. I think they take 5%, so they would get 5,000 coins back into their pool that the players don't get.
That's ridiculous.
It's mad, isn't it?
It really is.
Let's ban this sick filth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, that was a real damning indictment of video games.
It's not going to get better, is it?
Well, that is the sad state of affairs that we're in. At which point, that a video game podcast, people that like playing video games, is mostly talking about all the shit that's going on.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some good games. Tell me another good game you've been playing, Matt.
I've been playing a lot of good games, actually. This may surprise you. But,
I'm not surprised.
I was a bit worried. I think I spoke to you, Si, back in sort of June time and said, it's halfway through the year, and all the games that have come out this year have been rubbish. I then picked up Sekiro.
Oh yeah.
The From Software, who
Now
always
this
get a
would
bit of a
generally
pasting.
be not acceptable in our on this podcast. You'd get one of those. But you said you liked it in inverted commas.
Well, I was worried that it was going to get to the end of the year and we'd get to our game of the year and I'd have to put a From Software
Get
game at the top of the
out.
list. But I really enjoyed it. I haven't finished it. It's really hard, but I'm really enjoying it more than I've enjoyed any of the other Dark Soulsborne games.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very entertaining and it's very well done. I'm going to go back to it. It's very good. But then a game came out that has absolutely blown it out of the water.
Oh, this is a Castlevania game, isn't it?
This is not a Castlevania game, but it's very clearly a Castlevania game. So this is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Nice.
And it's a full 10 out of 10 from me. It is absolutely astonishing. So I, for years, have wanted another main console Castlevania game. Konami have effectively dropped their trousers and urinated all over the franchise for the last few years, apart from on Nintendo handheld consoles, which seem to have had a little bit of.
Is the
leeway.
Netflix series in any way connected to Konami, or is that a totally different license?
They
It is officially like Castlevania.
they've effectively bought the license to do that.
Oh, I see, okay.
It's not a Konami production.
Because I thought it was very un-Konami.
Well, if it was Konami, it would have been terrible. So, but this was effectively the original designer. He's gone in, like the guy who did Symphony of the Night. He's gone in and he's done a Kickstarter for it. Now, there's been a whole load of nonsense around, it's going to go to Epic Store and stuff like that. I don't care. I was playing it on PlayStation, shut your traps. But
shut your traps.
it is effectively everything you would want out of a Castlevania game, a modern Castlevania game.
Metroidy.
It is very Castlevania-y, so
Okay.
it's got that gothic feel to it.
Yeah.
It's
Gameplay style, bouncing around,
so like
attacking people with melee attacks and
getting
stuff.
tons of new weapons,
Yeah.
ridiculous enemies, locked off areas that you need to get a new ability, very much like Zelda should be.
Lots of having to turn your back and slash at people and turn back again.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff you get in a 2D
Yeah,
jobby.
yeah, it's got a sort of dodge function and
Dodge,
stuff like that.
yeah,
It's,
okay.
but it is so good.
A little bit of platforming.
A lot of platforming, but it's not like you're missing jumps all the time.
Yes,
or
okay,
anything.
yeah.
It's just everything that I've ever I was worried because I didn't think it could be as good as I wanted it to be. It is as good, maybe even better than I wanted it.
Is
to
it
be.
available on the Nintendo Switch?
It is.
Is it now?
Yeah.
So I'd be quite tempted.
It
by that.
is literally like I'll be amazed if it gets through to December and this is not my game of the year. And bearing in mind the games that are coming out towards the end of the year, that is a big claim. But at the moment, I can't see anything toppling that for me.
Crikey, what have you been playing, Jono? Apart from
Not-
Borderlands
Borderlands mainly. I've played it a lot.
for the second time round.
A lot, yeah.
You're a completist, aren't you?
Yeah, I wanna do it. I'd like to.
Platinum it.
Yeah, don't know if I will though. It's quite a lot more to do.
Is there still?
Well, I've completed the main game, but there is
But
quite
haven't you done all the side missions as well?
most of them. But
Fucking hell.
Hasn't got all the weapons.
Yeah, like 14 million.
to be honest, I
weapons.
haven't looked to see what you need to get a platinum, but there were a lot of other trophies that I hadn't got. No, but I've also been playing the prequel as well.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
The
it's
pre-sequel.
the pre-sequel.
So
sorry,
where
yeah.
is that set then? What's the sitch?
That is set between. Actually, no.
It's
before.
It is before
Borderlands 2,
Borderlands
definitely.
2. Yeah. So Jack is actually a handsome
guy.
Jack.
Yeah.
Is a character in it, and he's
Okay,
a
nice.
kind of good guy. I
think
mean,
it's effectively
Okay.
like the Star Wars prequels, but good.
yeah.
So,
So,
it's the build up to him
Nice.
turning bad.
exactly.
Like
So
that.
I haven't finished it yet, but I get
Yeah.
the feeling that essentially it's the path of Jack being from
an asshole
a bit of a dick.
to a tyrant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's good fun. It's very
really good fun.
it's very similar.
It made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, it's
many
good.
times.
I mean, again with Borderlands 2 as well. Just so many of the missions are just brilliant and so funny, and the NPCs are great that you meet, and you do side missions for them, and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice.
And I didn't play the pre-sequel before. I think I only played Borderlands 2 first time around, so I'm quite enjoying it this time.
Yeah, I played 1 and did not like it at all. When 2 came out, I saw all the like critical darling of the thing, and I left it for a while, and then I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter, and I was like, I'll try it, and I loved it. So
Nice.
I really enjoyed the pre-sequel when I played it.
I'm going to have to get onto that. I've been playing, because my situation has not been easy for me to console games, I don't have a living room or anything. I haven't been playing much console stuff, but I have been playing a lot of Champ, as we would call it from the old days, or Football Manager 19.
Yeah.
And I've realised once again how fucking brilliant it is. And it's brilliant in such a weird way, that game, because it's not the game that's brilliant at all. The game is incredibly simple. It's a big, SQL database, basically. And you buy and sell players, obviously, and you manage your team. But the way the game works is that it gives you. I love the cadence of the game. Right, I can play it at my own pace, and I love being able to do other stuff. So I listen to podcasts or browse the internet or watch some videos or whatever while I'm sitting on my laptop playing a bit of Champ. So you play it at your own pace. And I think because of that as well, you're constantly creating stories. You're building your own stories about these teams you have. And as the game goes on and you have fewer and fewer real players, because after a while the game regens new players for you, it's even easier for you to create these myths and stories around these fake players, because you don't know what they would be like in real life. And so each each player has a personality, and even though they're just a name and a bunch of statistics on a screen, and you start absolutely like rooting for these random numbers on a database. It's incredible.
That is the most satisfying part for me anyway. When you pick up like a 17-year-old kid, and he's got a lot of potential, but he's a bit rough around the edges, and you over the years you train him, and he becomes this amazing player for you, and he'll end up scoring all these important goals for you, and it's incredibly satisfying.
It is, isn't
it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but it's also amazing at the same time.
It's glorious.
I rarely do that. I usually get like young players on loan, so I never get them long enough to actually build them into a star or anything. But, I do, however, like develop real hatred of real players based on my experiences in Championship Managers. And you all know who I'm talking about here.
You're talking about poor old Glenn Murray.
I am talking about Glenn Murray.
I'm sure he's a lovely chap.
He disrespected me in Football Manager 15, and I have not forgiven him for that. He turned the entire dressing room against me, and it's very disappointing.
Did he get you the sack?
He tried.
I
tried to sell him to Sai for like about 10 quid. And Sai didn't want him.
It was after about 1 week in the job. Ridiculous. But so Champ's been doing that for me again. Absolutely just ridiculous, but brilliant in some very, very strange way. So I've been loving that. So while I haven't had the console set up, I've been doing that. And then I set everything up just the other day, turned on the console, PSN freebies again for this month, which I actually more and more appreciate, because first of all, there's no big games that seem to be exciting me that much anymore, and I never can, even if there are games out, I can never kind of decide what I want. So the PSN thing's actually quite good, because it just gives you a game and you're like, fuck it, I'll give it a go.
It's a good one this month.
So I was trying the David Cage Chatathon. What's it called? Beyond Two Souls? No, that's a different one.
Detroit Become
Beyond
Human.
Two Souls was another one. Detroit Become Human. I played the opening couple of scenes.
I'll be honest, I haven't played it yet, but
me neither.
I quite like that type of thing.
I'll be honest. It wasn't that long ago, like literally a couple of months ago. I was thinking about buying it. So
there you go.
I'm quite impressed that it's popped up, and I'll certainly give it a bash.
It looks great to begin with. They've done a beautiful job on the character models and everything else, and it sounds pretty cool. It's got a good soundtrack, which you get for free as well. It's got kind of like, abstract, ethereal, ambient soundtrack thing going on. And it's like all David Cage games, right? It's a kind of walk around and make decisions type of thing. And the opening scene, I'm an android detective, basically, and And I don't think that's the theme of the game, but I think they're just throwing you in there to learn about it. Because
They've ripped off Blade Runner is what you're telling me.
a little bit, yeah, they have. Yeah, but don't get too excited because Cyberpunk's coming out and that's going to rip off Blade Runner a lot.
Yeah.
Which is no bad thing because Blade Runner's fucking brilliant.
It is.
But I think, knowing David Cage, that this is going to turn into some kind of weird, emotional, human conflict type of thing because that's what David Cage does. Now, I assume that there's not going to be a scene in which my son ignores me because I've been a bad parent and I'm responsible for his brother's death.
Yeah, or where
David!
Yeah, where your child is abducted from the park.
I mean,
the
fucking
darkest
hell.
thing I've ever
Heavy
played.
Rain was a very, very dark game.
But then
Really
10
was.
minutes later, you're having to use your. I realise I'm going to make the David Cage arse stick thing
Yes.
again, but I'm going to talk about my L stick.
Yes.
You've got to do that to open a door handle for 5 minutes
know,
or something,
yeah.
just after you've witnessed the.
Come
just
on.
like quick.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but still, I'm going to give it a go because I think I want to know what it's all about.
I'm
really.
going to give it a go at some point, but
Yeah.
at the moment, there's just too many games that I'm invested in for me to actually spend the time doing it. So
Yeah, it's fair enough. So the other big thing that's happened in recent times was E3. Now, in previous years, we've done full-on E3 reviews and stuff. And I
Yeah.
remember you and I did a great one last year.
I
But
loved last year because it was massive. There were so
Yeah.
many good games and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
not so much this year.
It was garbage. wasn't
Very
it?
little
Really
happened this
poor.
year. Which is why we weren't inspired to really do a show because nothing happened.
What about Keanu Reeves?
Well, John,
Come
That
on.
was the one thing.
that was the best moment by
That-
far. And Sony, totally stole the show for no reason because it was fucking CD Projekt Red's game.
Yes.
It just happened to be on the Sony thing, but it's
No,
not
it was
like.
Microsoft. Sony weren't there, were
Oh,
they?
sorry, Microsoft,
Yeah.
whoever it was. Yeah, they stole the thunder of that game completely because it's, CD Projekt Red, not Microsoft doing that
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, Keanu came on stage. Everybody loved him,
But
obviously.
that was the one good thing in an ocean of not even
Mundanity.
a lot of it was terrible. In
Yeah,
terms of-
yeah.
Ubisoft was just a load of it wasn't even showing game footage. It was just dramatic recreations of games and
Your pal from Bethesda, what's his name? Fallout 76 apologist.
yeah.
Came up on stage and apologised for Fallout 76.
He
Thank
did,
you very much.
Yeah, but then said we're going to throw loads more stuff at you for it. But
and
no one's
they had
playing it.
employed a bunch of shills to sit in the crowd and whoop.
Really?
So everything
had
he said, they
they?
were like, "Woo, yeah!" And it was
Are you
so
implying
bad.
that normally people wouldn't cheer Fallout 76?
I am definitely implying
I
that.
don't. I literally don't know a single person who's still playing that.
Well, I don't think many played it to begin with, apart from that one guy who got all those bottle caps and then broke the game because he had
Yes.
too many bottle
Yeah.
caps. Fucking
'Cause-
brilliant.
I think it was
Jesus Christ!
you
what
know,
a
the year
shambles.
2000 where computers hadn't figured out how to get to the next digit. I think Bethesda were using that technology. So, but yeah, it was a
Yeah,
poor conference.
Shambles all told. But yeah, I mean, Keanu in the zeitgeist very, very much at the
Yeah.
moment with
Quick-
the John Wick release as
Quick
well.
Keanu point.
He's a lovely man.
He is a
Keanu.
lovely man.
Yeah.
And I saw a few kind of mainstream media reports about Keanu being there. And a lot of them seemed to spin it as like Keanu was somehow legitimizing gaming in some way. And he actually came out and said, well, I don't need to.
Yeah, why would he need to
Well,
legitimise
exactly.
gaming?
So it was quite nice that he came out and said, "Well,
Nice.
I don't need to. It's already a
Yeah.
a legitimate industry and
Yeah.
massively
That sounds like some
important."
arsehole journo trying to cause trouble.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
But I saw a couple of reports that were
Well,
along
I think
those
that
lines.
tied in with the fact that there was a little bit of negative press around Cyberpunk after the event, and I think they tried to tie Keanu into it, and he was having none of it.
Oh, was there? What-
What? So CD Projekt Red, they have a history of their staff not being
Oh, yeah.
exactly,
Yeah, okay.
should we say, politically correct in their
Yeah.
outpourings, and there were two points raised around the footage that was used and some of the gameplay that people had seen, and one was that there was a lot of violence against women, which I haven't seen the footage, so I'm not really prone to say. And another thing was around the use of a naked picture of a transgender person within the game as a poster, and their response to that was actually like, we want it to be so that in this future that is viewed as a beautiful person and the sort of
Why
thing.
would that be an issue, though? I don't understand that.
I think historically CD Projekt Red's approach to trans rights has not been as
But you see, I have a problem with that because that's an inference on someone else's part about someone else's art, which they can't make.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I think
I don't really know about that one. If there is a lot of violence against women, I would hope that there's a lot of violence against men as well. So
well, I'm sure there will be. It's a fucking video game about shooting people.
Indeed. So we'll see what comes of that. But I think there was a bit that tried to tie into that. So
I think people are desperate to find that stuff as well. I saw a brilliant thing with Shane McGowan where somebody came out and said, I can't believe you have this song where she's talking about calling somebody a cheap, dirty faggot or whatever. And he's like, have you heard the song? He's like, the song is about bad people. They start off in a fucking drunk tank.
Yeah.
This is the confusion with people where they think that just hearing or seeing something in the media is somehow approving of that thing. There is lots of great art that is out there that is parodying, or making light of shitty things and depicting shitty characters, And there's no if we only depicted really nice things all the time. What is anyone going to learn, or how are we ever going to be exposed to any kind of, thing that challenges people or makes them think? It's so fucking stupid.
I would say though, with the computer game approach to violence against women, they do need to be making sure that the context is right.
That's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
Violence against women.
No, indeed. I'm not. But I think that if they're going, oh look, you can beat your wife, that's not a good thing.
No, I'd hope that wasn't the case.
Well, there was a lot of criticism of Red Dead Redemption when it first came out, and this is not some criticism that I agree with, in terms of they were going because people were able to go and beat up the suffragettes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one person in particular was like going around actually torturing these NPCs. Now, that's not the game's problem.
Yeah, that's on the player.
That is on that psychopath with that controller in his hand.
The game just gives you the freedom to do essentially what you want to do.
Yeah. But if that psychopath wants to go and do that, his parents need to have a look at themselves as well.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
So I'm separating these out. I don't really know where I stand on those. Once I play the game, I will have some views.
Yeah, exactly. We won't be playing until May of 2020 or something.
No, but I'm looking forward to it. But
they haven't released the date
Me
yet,
too.
have they? Or?
I think spring 2020.
I just really hope it's better.
No, there was a release date because Keanu went, here's the release date.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing Keanu was on there for.
Or was it April?
It's sometime in the spring of 2020.
Yeah.
It's far enough away for me not to care.
On this gen of consoles.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they said.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be out by next year, is it?
There's been some new console announcements.
don't
Microsoft announced
care.
a new big bastard console.
Google announced their
Google
console.
announced one which apparently has already failed before it was released.
No one wants it.
So that was a bit of a misstep.
Yeah, I think it was 75% of British gamers are not interested in it.
It's a bad sign, isn't it?
That's a lot of people.
Sign.
Yeah,
It's a lot of people.
But yeah, it's what it is.
Right. Fucking hell, guys. We've chatted nonsense for 50 minutes.
50 minutes. So have we got 10 minutes to moan about something else? Or
no, I think
right,
people have had enough of our nonsense at this
that's
point.
good, because I think if we raise any more negatives around the computer game industry,
I think next time
we might not actually have a pod anymore.
No,
so.
we'll have a more positive outlet next time.
I don't think so. We haven't touched on Mordhau or G2A yet.
No,
so.
we'll just play more board games that we can talk about
nice.
board
Yeah,
games.
good time.
So thank you very, very much indeed, Matthew, for
You're
coming
welcome.
along, and
Yeah.
Jono for making an appearance on the
Yeah,
pod.
thanks,
No
John.
worries.
You're welcome back anytime.
Lovely.
I just want to make the point that it was very nice for me to talk about, Bloodstained, and Side to talk about FIFA and, Champo, without Andy going a bit like
I know.
Mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. well, he'll be going mental when he listens to it. So
He will.
enjoy that.
Well, he won't be listening because he'll be too busy recording another podcast that he's competing with us about. So.
Well, there you go. So catch that. Catch the Tin and Ginger Biscuits. Catch if you're interested in
catch
football
Tin.
on the Worldy podcast. You can also find us on idiot_gamer on Twitter. Find us on Instagram, Idiot Gamer. And on Podbean and Stitcher and all these other places where you can download the podcast. And with that, I'll see you next time, Matthew.
Bye.
And I'll see you next time, Jono.
See ya.
We'll see you next time with the Idiot Gamer Podcast.